Well, hello there. It's your guide, intuitive and astrologer, Robert Ohado. Now, we're going to be talking about zodiacal compatibility. Who are you compatible with based on your zodiac sign? So, I have a question for you. Is it possible that you've been misled by all the information out there in terms of what zodiac compatibility really is all about and which signs are compatible with which signs? What can someone's zodiac sign in the first place tell you about them? What can it actually reveal to you about them? How does your zodiac sign work with the laws of magnetic attraction and bring people into your life? And also, by the way, repel people out. That law of attraction, that attraction stuff works two ways. There's attraction and repulsion, both. Now, what's the one thing, the most important thing perhaps, about your zodiac sign that really determines compatibility with other zodiac signs? And what are your zodiac signs' shadow matches? What's a shadow match? And how does that work with a zodiac sign? Well, hey, if you want to know the answers to all those really riveting, deep questions, stay here. I've got you. And I'm going to share with you so much in this deep dive. This is actually a bit of a deep dive. So get yourself some tea, coffee, maybe even dinner, lunch, wherever you are, and get ready because I've got a lot to share through this video. And I'm going to tour through each zodiac sign and teach you what I've learned over the past 20 years through thousands of readings about zodiac compatibility. And this is really cool, I have a massive compatibility twist that is going to absolutely reinvent how you see zodiac compatibility in the first place. So you ready to do this? Stay tuned. Stay right here. All right, let's get down to it. We have a lot to cover in this video. Now, let me just say before we get started, if you're someone that has bought a bunch of books on zodiac compatibility or is looking for just another reiteration of those books or kind of this easy path of just looking at someone's zodiac sign and going, okay, well, they're a Scorpio, I'm a Taurus, I got to stay away from them. This video is not for you. But if you're someone that's like, yeah, I've tried those books, not sure how I feel about them, I'm not really sure if it really works. And you know what? I want to actually assume the role of co-creator when it comes to my relationships. And maybe, hey, if I can use astrology to do that, all right, Ohado, let's do this. Well, stay right here because it's exactly what we're going to do. We are entering into the relationship, dating, relating arena as co-creators. And I'm going to teach you the best way to use the zodiac signs to help really bring into your life the relationships that will most nourish you, the relationships that you will find a nice flow compatibility with, because I'm going to teach you there's a difference between flow compatibility and shadow match compatibility. So we got a lot to talk about, and this is new. So I want you, just do me this favor. If you're going to stick around with me, it's going to be a deep dive. And, you know, if we really want to get into creating the relationships we want and having the people that we most want in our lives that really feel compatible or have that shared sense of connection and value, sometimes it takes a little work, right? Oftentimes it takes a lot of work. So what I'm here to say is, look, you get what you earn. And I'm going to walk you through, I'm going to give you some powerful insights, not only just about zodiac signs, your zodiac sign, the people you have in your life, their zodiac signs, how to best use those zodiac signs when it comes to compatibility and relating to them. But this is also just about what is compatibility in the first place? Like, what is it actually about? Because we do have a problematic way of seeing compatibility in this culture that I'm going to shake down, twirl around, and get you on a whole new thought reversal around it. That's going to be the best thing, I think, that's ever happened to you when it comes to understanding compatibility. Now, I want you to take a minute and consider all that you've seen or read or heard about astrological, zodiac compatibility. Now, there's a lot of books out there, and there's some usefulness to some of them. I'm not going to say all of them got it wrong, because it's not necessarily true. But I want you just to take that and leave it at the door and come in fresh, come in like a clean slate into everything I'm going to walk you through and teach you. And then you can pick it back up when we're done, no problem. Or you can at least go back and question, hey, how do I feel about what Robert just taught me? Or how do I feel about this book that I've sworn by as my Zodiac Compatibility Bible? Well, check it out. I'm going to do some shifting around here. You can go back to those books. Okay. But I want you just to take a minute, come in with me, and give my insights a chance, because I think they're going to rock your world and probably truly blow your mind. And I think bring a lot of healing to your own relationship with yourself and your relationships with other people. That's my goal. I really want to illuminate for you, after all I've learned in my work with astrology, the best way to use the zodiac signs for compatibility. Now, I want you next to ask yourself this question. It's kind of funny, but I think you should ask it. Do you even track this stuff? So, like when you meet people, do you ask them, what's your sun sign? What's your zodiac sign? Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm an astrologer, and I don't even do that. And I'm going to tell you why later, why I don't do that. But ironically, I don't even do that. Now, later on, I get curious enough to go, okay, exactly when were you born? What's your sun sign? But most often, it could be months or weeks in getting to know someone before I'll even ask that question. And there is actually a really great reason why. Now, I'm not saying you got to follow that same path. In fact, I'm going to give you some homework where I want you to start asking people their sun signs. But there's some truth to letting yourself have some room just to discover someone. Versus, and I'm kind of jumping ahead here, stereotyping them right away because of their sun sign. Now, look back on all the people you've dated. Look back at all your past friends, current friends. Look back at maybe past employers, bosses. Look back at family members, and make it a point to kind of ask what their zodiac sign is when you get a chance. I want you to bring that in eventually, but maybe you already know. Maybe you already have like the zodiac signs down for everyone you've ever dated or married or divorced and everything in between. Now, we're going to track more in this video, but are you someone that even looks at that anyway? You know, you might find zodiac compatibility a curiosity, but do you truly, like, every time you meet someone, ask them their sun sign? Just something to kind of notice. Now, the way that I like to guide you into insight is by having you ask yourself questions first to get a sense of where you're at with what I'm going to teach you. Because then you have a reference point in yourself of, okay, so for example, what does compatibility mean to you? Like if I said, all right, what does compatibility mean to you? Tell me, what would your answer be? What does it mean to be compatible with someone? So just take a minute and kind of sense in yourself what that definition might be for you. Now, what kind of metrics then do you use to define who's compatible? So take a minute with that. And let me just offer a working definition for our journey together. Compatibility, I would define as the ability to live, work, be together with someone in harmony because of well-matched characteristics, values maybe. And also, it could also be understood as the ability to live or exist together with someone else without a lot of problems, right? We're compatible, we get on, we flow, okay? Now, that's the definition I think most of us would probably, and maybe you kind of had some piece of that already coming out of your thoughts of when I just asked you that question, what does compatibility mean to you? But we're going to evolve beyond that. And you're going to love it. I promise you, you're going to love where I take you. But when it comes to zodiac signs, first, we gotta start with point number one here. Do you even know what your zodiac sign is? Now, I just did a video. This is part of a series. This is part two, actually, of a series of 5 videos I'm doing in the spring of 2023 here I know I'm wearing a Nordic sweater, but I live in Colorado, and spring for us is probably going to come in June. So, but it's spring, and I'm doing a whole series of 5 different videos on astrology. I just felt really compelled to come in and teach you some new stuff about it that I have in my wheelhouse. I'm like, to bring this out for everyone to use and hopefully grow from. So this time we're in relationships, but I just did a video on what your zodiac sign even is. Now, I'm going to point you back to that video. It's on my YouTube channel. By the way, if you find this of value, please you can subscribe, you can press that bell and then get notified when my next video, which I'll tell you at the end of this one what it's going to be. I'll tell you when that's going to come out, and you can get notified when it comes out. So that really helps. And also, when you like a video, by the way, it kind of lets me know you want more of this kind of content. And I look at that. I really do. Like, okay, people are grooving on what I just put down. I'll make time, because this takes a lot of time, and do something else around that, or follow up with another video full of insights around something. So please like the video. It's also just a cool way of saying thank you. And you know what? It's just really great karma. All right, now back to where I want to take you. So in the part 1 video, I talked about what zodiac signs even are and how to know yours. And I am coming from the model of Western astrology. Just want to put that out there. So this is part 2. And in this one, we're going to jump into, okay, now that you know your zodiac sign and what it really is. So what it really is, just real briefly, go back to that video on my channel to find out more. I really recommend you do. The zodiac sign is not what you innately are per se. That was my main point of the first video. Rather, what your zodiac sign represents. It's also called your sun sign. It's where the sun was in the Western tropical sidereal model of astrology. And it's all about where your sun sign is at a certain time of the year in the zodiac up in the sky. So this is kind of how Western astrology was first born, like 2,000 years ago. And then there's been a lot of shifts of the actual constellations. We're not going to go there. But what you want to understand is when you look at these dates, for example, and I showed you this in video 1. Well, let's go back to it. When we look at Aries, you are looking at March 19th through April 19th, generally speaking, of when the sun is in the Western model of astrology, which is, by the way, not sidereal. Scratch that. It's tropical. I'm mixing up models here. But this just shows you, okay, these are the dates for Aries. And then we go to Taurus. These are the dates for Taurus, the 19th through the 20th. Then we go to Gemini, May 20th to June 20th. Boom. Okay, there we are. Now, you're going to find that some of you might be on what's called a cusp. And that's what this is. Once again, I go into lots of depth in that first video. Go check it out. But this is when you have the edge of one sign turning into another. And to know exactly which sun sign you are, you really truly have to get something that's called your natal birth chart. And that's what this is. You have to get that cast, because you are not both signs. You really truly are one sign or another when it comes to the sun sign. And so what you probably have heard is that, hey, no, the sun sign is what you innately are. And then we go around, and astrology books do this, sadly, and stereotype each other through sun signs without realizing, you know what the sun sign really is? Think of the sun. It's about the development of who you were born to become. It's about the pattern. The zodiac sign is the pattern that you're meant to mature your co-creative consciousness through this lifetime. And it's never done. I could also say it's your pattern of destiny. Destiny is a verb. Purpose is a verb. These things are always growing, evolving. They're never done. So, okay, hold that thought. I'm probably just thought reversed you all over the place if you hadn't seen the first video, but stay with me, because I will go into a little bit of the sun sign, because I got to point to from there what your sun sign is going to be most compatible with when it comes to the zodiac sign of other people. Now, that said, what does it mean in terms of compatibility with other zodiac signs? Well, is there a way to use zodiac signs to determine and understand our compatibility with other people? If we're talking about the sun sign being something we're born to become, absolutely. That's why I'm so excited to teach this to you. But before we do that, we do have to take a minute and define what compatibility even means. So once again, coming back to what I defined it as briefly, and what you maybe defined it as. What we want to look at here when it comes to zodiac sign compatibility, this is definition number one. There's so many ways I could teach this, and I'm just going to take a first pass here. Zodiac sign compatibility might be when two signs, your sign and another person's, are able to live, work, be together in harmony without problems because of well-matched characteristics of each of the sign's pattern. Okay, there's a bit of truth in there. And that's where the books do give, I think, up a bit of help and usefulness and truth. But it's not the full truth by any means. So there's this catch. And the catch is that as a culture, we have kind of exclusively defined compatibility from this point of view in which it's about that flow, right? And getting on well with other people. And it's just easy. I mean, think of people you've met and immediately, like you had a connection. Immediately, it was like, you're cool. This is fun. Boom. We're friends. Or people that you maybe got to know over time and you're like, I really like you. There's just, you're vibing with me. And then I'd say, well, what is the vibing about? You'd be like, well, we get each other's humor. We understand each other's quote unquote love language, or we understand each other's vibe and values and vision and dreams and fears. Absolutely true. That is a huge part of compatibility. It's a wonderful part of compatibility. Yet, let me just say it this way. The human journey, the journey we're on, is about learning, personal evolution, and growth. Wouldn't you agree? I'm feeling you saying yes. Yes, you do agree. Even though this might even be on demand, I'm actually doing this live. I still feel you going, yeah, I agree, Robert. The human journey is about learning, personal growth, evolution, and moving into my potential. Now, part two. We are meant to meet people, right, that come into our lives to help us learn, evolve, and grow into our potential, right? Okay, yes again, right? I know you just said yes. We're meant to meet people on the path of our lives that are there to help us become all we can become. Okay, you with me? I'm sure you are, because this has been our lives. We've lived these truths, right? I know I have. I'm sure you have. There's been mentors, there's been teachers, there's been friends, and hopefully, if it went well in childhood, you had a great, kind of support from family that kind of launched your potential into the world. I mean, that's probably not really true for most of us, but you know what I'm saying. Now, I'm going to call this kind of compatibility flow compatibility. Things flow. There's an alignment. There is just this sense of we jive, we connect. This is cool. Now, there's another side to compatibility that we don't really talk about. So when you think of compatibility, you might think of what I just said, but do you ever think of it this way? There's a compatibility that is about having to have something other than an experience of flow with someone that you meet. I call these crash and burn lessons to learn relationships, right? Like we just ended up dating somebody or marrying somebody or someone in our workplace or, I don't know, someone in our neighborhood. And you know what? In Buddhism, they call them noble adversaries. They're these people that trigger us, that are difficult to be around, that bring us to how we lack boundaries and need to come up with some new empowered boundaries that really mirror back to us, maybe perhaps also like how we have really low esteem or where we are still traumatized and we haven't integrated that trauma and moved on. These are what I would call your shadow matches. So then having said that, I would also say you also have shadow match compatibility as well. Now, why would I say compatibility? It's still compatibility. It's just the flip side of flow. And here's the interesting thing about shadow match compatibility and flow compatibility. Both of these dynamics work with the dynamic magnetic laws of attraction. And in both there's like attracting like. So if you have people in your life that you're like, God, I just love that person. They're amazing. I love being around them. They inspire me. That person's my BFF. That person I wish was. Yeah, all right. Like attracts like. You're attracted to something about them that you also have in you. And there's the match. There's the vibe. There's the compatibility. Now, in shadow match compatibility, you're attracted like to like, but the like to like is a shadow piece attracted to another shadow piece in them. A shadow piece in you that's attracted to a shadow piece in them. And these magnetics run unconsciously. Yet, think of somebody that you met, I don't know, online. That's what the kids do these days, or at a party, or wherever. Just go back to a memory where you met somebody and you had this instant attraction to them. And maybe, you started to get to know them, or you started to date, and it was like fireworks, and it was just, woof, come on, right? And then maybe a month later, not so much. Or a year later, not so much. Or 10 years later, hell no, not so much. So there's still the force of attraction. You're still attracted. On the conscious level, this is when you hear friends say, or maybe you've said this, oh my gosh, it's just fantastic. He or she, or they are just the one. I just know it. It's just so quick. It's like I know them from another life. They're like my twin flame. They're like my soulmate. They're like, and then a month later, you're like, what is this? Yeah, they're in an active addiction. I didn't see that. They are a player. Didn't see that. They are like a man child. I didn't see that either. Why didn't you see that? Why were you attracted to them? And now we're in shadow match compatibility. Oh, you're very compatible. Because each person carries something in their psyche, energy, and patterns that's an absolute match. So, hey, the narcissist needs a blood donor. The vampire needs a blood donor. The vampire is actually a form of the narcissist pattern. So are they a shadow match? Hell yeah. Are they compatible? Totally. One gives blood, one takes it. Wow. Talk about compatible. It's just not a fun kind of compatibility. It's a matchup, but it's not the kind of compatibility that you would say is flowing, nourishing, empowering, fun, and loving. So, having said that, I want you to ask yourself this question and be honest. When you look back at your relationships in your life, who have been the people that have played the biggest role of catalyzing growth for you or having breakthroughs eventually? It's probably been a shadow match more often than not. Sure, I can look back to when I was in high school and I can think of a teacher that absolutely, I think, saved my life by helping me realize my value and letting me know I was enough and I was okay just as I am. And that person was a massive catalyzing force in my journey of potential and destiny. So I can think of those things. I'm sure you can too. Someone in your life that was just pivotal, so important. They were a flow match. They were a light match. It was about being in your light, in your steam, in your potential, and being in loving energy with them. But I can equally, as I'm sure you can, point to others in my past that were like, oh, but that was a crash and burn and a lesson to learn. Holy no. And there were magnetics running both. Like was attracting like in both. All right, so I'm laying some pieces here, and I'm going to tie it all into zodiac signs. Track with me. You with me? All right, now, this is where we do have to challenge our cultural kind of understanding of compatibility and perhaps our fantasies around how compatibility works and what it even is. It's a both and proposition. And then, by the way, I'm sure you've had this, I have. This is kind of more the norm for me these days. You get people that are a little bit of both. There's some flow compatibility. There's some shadow match, shadow dancing compatibility. It's a little bit of both and. Sure. I think that's the marker of someone who's coming out of these polarized ways of seeing compatibility into the truth of it as a co-creator, and realizing that, hey, growth sometimes requires adversity, requires an adversary to trigger in us empowerment, that we are enough, that, we got it going on. You sometimes need someone to tell you how you don't have it going on so you can wake up to how you do have it going on. And that doesn't mean that person doesn't support you in other ways and you don't have other flow compatibility with them sometimes. That's a little extreme. I think most people that are like, you don't have it going on, probably not going to be a both and compatible match, but rather more of a just plain old school shadow match, right? So now begin to hold all this in your psyche and in your mind and heart around the people you've had relationships with. Now, if you know their zodiac signs, bring it up. And if you don't, homework will be to go look up those zodiac signs and apply what I'm going to teach you to those experiences and see what you come up with. Now, what in you perceives something as compatible? So is it your wholeheartedness? Is it this esteemed version of yourself, this worthy version of yourself? Or is it the part of you that's looking for someone to make you enough? Is this wounded part of you, this wounded ego part of you that's on the hunt for worth? Is that what's seeing what's compatible and what isn't? And actually, honestly, for most people, that's true. The primary way that they would see who's compatible and who isn't is via this, especially in this Insta-perfect, Instagram, image-based internet world we live in now. It's almost hard to kind of go, wait a minute, that's all image, that's all surface. And that really in the end is not going to help me with the true soulmates of compatibility I really want in my life. Forget zodiac signs. That we can't even bring zodiac signs in yet. So, hey, you know what? If you're looking for someone to get you to some feeling that you're enough through them, that's just something to notice about yourself. And if you've defined compatibility in the past through that driver, through that lens, okay, today is the day you will be free at last. It's going to be done. I'm going to encourage you not to do that anymore. You don't have to. I'm going to teach you how to see another way, how to look at compatibility from a different maturity that really sees you as you really are, others as they really are, and you as the soul that signed up for this journey of becoming, and someone else in the journey of their own becoming who they're meant to be. So if I said to you, oh, you know what, that dude, he's a Taurus, and you know what, they're lazy, stubborn, and really set in their ways. And, they're not going to like your adventurous travel lifestyle because you're a Sagittarius. So I'm going to say, no, you're not compatible. Or let's play this a different way. Oh, you're a Taurus. And you know what? That person over there is a Scorpio. And so definitely stay away from that, because in astrology, those signs are opposites. So hell no. Now, would you believe that? Do you believe that? It's cool if you do. I'm going to hopefully get you out of that belief. However, the thing that I want you to consider is that it's not really how zodiac compatibility works. Especially considering that the sun sign, the zodiac sign, is about a pattern of development for both you and someone else. It's about what you're going to become. So true compatibility isn't about images. It's not about necessarily what zodiac signs, what per se. Now there is, and this is what's so awesome about teaching you this, there is a way to use your zodiac sign, other zodiac signs for compatibility purposes. I got you. We're doing this. But I want you to understand, if you use astrology to stereotype people in these ways that are so common, you could very well miss out on the love of your life. I am not even kidding. You could very well miss out on a lifelong friendship with somebody, or really not see someone in their true journey of authenticity with compassion or kindness, or yourself. This can completely, going through zodiac book or astrology books and looking at zodiac signs, could completely reshape the way that you see you. And this is the thing, truly, I would never, ever want you to use astrology as a way of defining someone through stereotype, including yourself. But you can, and I'm going to teach you this, use astrology as a guide to discover someone, including yourself. Come on. So, shall we dive into the real way to use compatibility when it comes to zodiac signs, or what? Let's do this. So I'm doing a live, and I have to take a drink of ginger brew. That's what I do. It's my thing. And I'm just going to say hi to some people. Hey, everyone. We've got Sassy Susie. I like that. We've got Kim Jenkins and Jill Anderson. I see you. I see Sarah Wing. So let me just say something while I'm getting my voice ready for the next segment here. There will be a Q&A in part 5 of this series that I'll do. I can't do it through Facebook or YouTube because it's not how those interfaces work. I will, if you're on my email list, which there's a link right in the description of this video to sign up for that, you'll get emailed how to attend that. So, hey, my email list is free. You ever aren't feeling it, you can unsubscribe at any time. But if you want to join for that Q&A, and I hope you do, because I'm sure you're gonna have tons of questions, not only after this video, but the next 2 ahead. And then the 5th one is just a Q&A, and we'll do that live stream as well. But I have to use a different interface that does require I send you a link to it and then allow you to join. And to do that, get on my newsletter. Come on now. All right. Okay. To recap, most astrology and also astrologers use what I would say a more superficial approach of compatibility based on your zodiac sign being innately what you are, part 1. And because it's based on what you innately are, then it's then projected out into, well, who others innately are via their sun sign, and who you should and shouldn't be with, date, etc., or how to engage them if you do have a relationship with them, and what to watch out for. And typically, it's kind of sad to say this, but it's usually the shadow side of the sign and its pattern that's always talked about. You know, well, if you're a Gemini, oh my gosh, you shouldn't date Geminis. They're just so flighty and social. There's no way they'll be faithful or trustworthy. You know, they're on to the next flavor of the month. I mean, I'm just going through what I've heard, and you've probably heard. And that's sad to me because that betrays what the solar Gemini journey for someone really is about. And it's stereotype. I'm going to stereotype someone, and then why would we do that? And that's a very intriguing question. Well, I'm going to come back to that a little bit later, but I want you to hold that. Why would you want to stereotype somebody through astrology? Now, there's other things that are used. We call this typology. Like there's astrology as a form of typology. There's a lot of times people use different personality tests and different also esoteric tests or esoteric systems like astrology to kind of get this type down. Now there's usefulness and I think a not to that. But listen, do you want to define someone using their zodiac sign or stereotypes, or do you, my empowered co-creator, do you want to engage the vulnerable adventure of discovering them instead? And then find out how you can use astrology to do that. That's what we're doing too. So how can we use zodiac compatibility a different way? Part 1. There's many parts to that question. Well, when it comes to your zodiac sign and who you are most compatible with, we do have to remember that your sun sign is a path of becoming. It's a path of destiny. And it's the way your soul has chosen to fulfill through a pattern, the zodiac and its pattern, your potential this lifetime. So what do you need for compatibility purposes based on your zodiac sign? You need other people who will support you in becoming all you were born to become through that zodiac sign. Let me say it another way. Level 1 compatibility with zodiac signs. It's going to be about, hey, I'm a sun in Cancer. I'm on a Cancerian quest, a Cancerian heroic journey of becoming this lifetime. So you know what's going to be compatible for me? People that support that. And what exactly is that? Well, I've got to learn how to really find the emotional side of my psyche a force of empowerment in this lifetime. Emotions equal empowerment for me. So, I've also got to find some way to establish a sense of home in me and also out there. An inner home and outer home. That's a Cancer mandate. So I can have space for this soft, emotional, vulnerable development that my journey requires of me. Oh, and I've also got to learn how to have that shell. And yes, some pinchers. I've got to know how to defend my home, whether inner or outer. I've got to know how to emotionally engage in connection with people and feel a sense of community, family, and tribe emotionally around me. And for most Sun in Cancers, that wasn't something they had growing up. So they're on a journey that they have to go create that themselves as part of identity development. And I'll tell you, as in a sidebar, I did many readings on men with Sun in Cancer. And once again, depending on your gender, depending on how you identify within any sexuality or orientation or gender identity, how you work with the sun's pattern is going to be very interesting. We are in a patriarchal culture, a very now polarized culture. So how you're able to develop freely in that sign's pattern. So if you're a man with a sun in Cancer, which is a feminine path of development, this is a water sign. It's about emotions. It's about emotional part of your psyche being very important in your destiny. Well, you're in a patriarchal culture that tells you big boys don't cry. And oftentimes, men with Sun in Cancer have in their history major issues with their mother. Just something I've seen anecdotally, but I saw it a lot. So they had to find some way to create an inner mother or inner father, and actually really in the end both, to self-parent. Now, all right, well, what was the original question? What kind of compatible partner does someone with a Sun in Cancer need? Someone in a flow compatibility that can support them in all of that. That says, I get your journey. I see what your journey's about. It's about you got to find home. So if I'm going to marry you, or if I'm going to be your partner or boyfriend, girlfriend, well, I've got to understand that this development for you is so crucial for you to feel alive, connected, and for doors of synchronicity to open, for synchronicity to open doors. So I got you. I'm going to help you with this vulnerable journey of emotional reasons for living. So now go to your sun sign. And once again, I talked about the sun signs in part 1 video, going through them. I'm going to do a little refresher here as I go through all 12, just like I did with Cancer here. But I want you to think about your zodiac sign and its path of becoming. And first level of compatibility, you need folks in your life that support that pattern, the journey of your sun sign, the journey of becoming that. So if you're Leo, you need people that support you being visible creatively in the world. You getting up on a stage, whether that's metaphorical or literal. You need folks that are cheerleading that in your life that say, you know what, you are so creatively amazing. You've got to shine this out. Get on that stage. Give that luminosity to the world. So you need those people in your life that say, hey, I get your path. It's about living in your essential self creatively and expressing that out visibly. And I know you're coming from this desire to stay invisible. It's safer. But I am your zodiac ally. And I'm here to help champion your luminosity, to light you up like a star. So those are some preliminary examples of the kind of compatibility your sun sign needs. It needs folks in your life that support your solar development. So what are you going to do right now? Get a little sense of who in your life actually does that. And what are you going to do later? You're going to go deeper. You're going to do a deeper evaluation. Who in my life supports me becoming more Aquarian, supports me becoming more Scorpio, more Virgo? How? How do they support me? What's their sun sign, by the way? So, little teaser. So much more to come. Now, zodiac compatibility, if I could say it this way, is about the realization that your sun sign is a verb. Your zodiac sign is a verb. So when it comes to you and someone else and their sun sign, you need their verb to match your verb to start making the sentences, paragraphs, and story of both your lives. And when I say relationship, of course, we can absolutely focus into that romantic kind of connection with partners, spouses, etc. But I think you'll be better served by going even broader. Friends, just people in your workplace, people that maybe work for you. Understanding these support systems of your solar destiny, but it works both ways. You have to understand theirs too. And what you want to look at when it comes to compatibility at this level, are we two verbs that can form some sentences together and develop in tandem into what we were born to become in a supportive and compatible way? So there's one level of it. Now, what did I just say? Zodiac signs are not nouns. They're not nouns. It's not, I'm a Leo, so I am so showy and so, I've got to be on the center of the stage. I've got to just always be, up in front of everyone and being gregarious. No. You might have a path to become more like that as a Leo, absolutely. And here's the thing, as we get older, we tend to really have anchored more of the characteristics of our sun sign. So you would become more Leo the older you got if you were working within the Leo pattern real consciously and leaving more of the shadow side of it behind because you're waking up and you're aligning to that North Star, which is your zodiac sign. You're aligning to it more. So as you get older, you'll find people are more their sun sign. Now, those astrology books start to more apply, but not because it's what they were innately born to be per se, but because they have earned this pattern and all of its grace and power and have had years of a lifetime until they're whatever age they are to learn how to do that. So keep that in mind. Now, I want you to understand your relationship magnetics when it comes to your zodiac sign. Because one thing to keep in mind is your relationship magnetics work far more dynamically than you consciously think they do. And I know it's been super popular for folks to talk a lot about this thing called the law of attraction. Now, is there a law of attraction? Absolutely. Does it just work from what most books say it does, and I'm going to disagree. And I think you will after I'm done showing you why. Because our magnetics work far more dynamically than just, if I'm positive, I attract positive. There are people that are very positive in the world that have horrific things happen to them all the time. It has nothing to do with their vibration or what they're attracting at the level of being positive or having a positive mindset. I am all for positivity. So don't take this the wrong way, but rather nothing carries more attracting power than a pattern. It's your patterns that have all of your magnetics. So if you are a blood donor, of course, those magnetics draw in vampires. That's the shadow match. If you are someone who struggles with feeling invisible, and I'm going to call that pattern in you the invisible child, well, that in you is far more powerful than any vision board you will ever make. Because that's the one that has the magnetics, and it's going to draw into your life in shadow match compatibility. People who want to use you to just shapeshift and be what they want you to be for them. And, or it doesn't draw anyone. No one can see you. Or you draw in people and they tend to have that flavor, like the vampire, of the narcissist, and they don't see your needs. But here's the truth. You don't see your needs. You're invisible. And when we're invisible to ourselves too, not just those out there. So our magnetics just draw in those that also don't see us. And in a shadow match compatibility, it's to help us bottom out with that and go, wait a minute, I don't like these magnetics. I need to be seen. I actually have needs. I have boundaries. I have dreams. I have hopes. I have wishes. Who knew? So I want to actually take form in this world so I can start now attracting that. And those that would help support that into my life. So when it comes to your zodiac sign and the magnetics I'm talking about, you want to be very aware that magnetics can play out in three ways. Via the magnetics that bring flow compatibility into your life, people that are really well matched in a flow, or shadow match compatibility. And I'm going to add another layer to shadow match. Now, I've been sort of speaking about shadow match as if it's adversarial, which is a lot of times how it manifests. But like attracting like here, you might also draw to yourself other people that want to hang out in invisibility with you, or hang out in victim consciousness with you, or hang out in whatever other identities you have with you that don't really serve your growth and potential. So we draw in, and this is where they say, your vibe attracts your tribe. Well, I'm going to say your patterns do, but your patterns create your vibe. So, a bunch of people who are, let's say, pessimistic are going to hang out, because optimists don't want to hang out with pessimists, because the pessimist in its magnetics repels an optimist. You do repel too through magnetics. It's not just about attraction. There's repulsion. So before I go off, I did a masterclass on this, by the way, but before I go off into that, coming back to zodiac signs, you will shadow match through your magnetics and that shadow match compatibility, or sometimes, once again, it's actually both and. I attract and match people in through my magnetics that carry some rough and tumble lessons, but also they do see me, and we're on this journey together of growth together that has its moments of challenge, but also moments of deep, deep connection and love. Both and. And I would wager that's probably where most of us are, I would say, in many of our relationships, which is life, being human. And I think, in a way, really wonderful. Hey, I'm all for flow compatibility, don't get me wrong. Yes, please. But, you know, I find for myself, beyond zodiac signs, that I'm most connected to people who have seen my shadow and I've seen their shadow, and we're still hanging out and loving each other and we're still around. Because I know for myself, the people that love me the most are the ones that have seen my shadow and they still love me. That's what I'm talking about. So, and that's a wonderful form of compatibility. Now, I'm going to drop a truth bomb. It's going to obliterate the old paradigm of zodiac compatibility, and it's this. Before we get going into the signs, which is next, I'm going to tell you there is no one zodiac sign to avoid. There aren't any to avoid, no matter what your sun sign is. Nope. And when it comes to your zodiac sign, though there's no one to avoid, and this is the next level, which is delicious. Though there's no one to avoid. So we're not going to look at someone's sun sign and go, oh, they're a Scorpio, I'm staying away. Or they're a Cancer, I'm staying away. Or they're an Aquarian, I'm staying away. No. And if I'm obliterating your old paradigms, well, I'm actually real happy for that, but it's going to serve you so well. So hang out with me. Just hang in. You can go pick them back up once again if you need to, but this is what I want you to understand. You do want, when it comes to zodiac signs, you do want to be aware of this. Each of us in our sun sign, and actually, let's just look at this whole, you are this whole thing. If I could, you know, cast your birth chart, if just like I did for this fake Brenda Smith, this is not a real chart. Maybe it is for someone, I don't know. But any likeness is not intentional. So, but if I cast this for you, look at all of that. Now, as an astrologer, practicing astrology for 30 years and having done it full time for 20, you know, I know this like the back of my hand. This is, for me, a complete map of your psyche, your family line, your soul's destiny, your innate. But then again, it isn't. Because here's the thing. This could be the chart of Brenda Smith. And if we brought her up to, let's say she was born in 2020 instead of 1965, this could also be the chart of a dog or a horse. So how does that change the game? It changes the game because it's about the soul, and in this case, species, that's actually animating the structure of that chart. I have done readings on twins, and I did a lot of them when I was doing this full time, in which they both had basically the same chart. The twins had the same chart. And I did this mostly for mothers that would, you know, want me to help them map how to help their children in the same way I'm helping you map how to help you when it comes just to zodiac signs. But I would do it through the whole chart. And this is what I learned. And it was fascinating, is that all of our soul's energies have a unique signature and frequency, and a unique energy, a unique consciousness. And when you look at the chart of two twins, this is where the intuitive sort of psychic in me comes in. I can sense the souls and how each soul is going to work with the chart in a different way. Now, there's a point to compatibility. I'm going to bring this full circle. Just wait for it. The point is this for now. It's not just about someone's sun sign or your sun sign. It's also about, there's this whole thing called the birth chart. Whoa, that's part of assessing some form of compatibility as well. But let's just get more simple. It's also about the level of consciousness and empowerment that someone expresses through their sun sign. Because how conscious or empowered you are is going to determine whether you express through Scorpio, for example, in its empowered light side or shadow reactive side, where we get all of our usual stereotypes around Scorpio: possessive, jealous, backstabbing, controlling, Don't worry, Scorpio, I've got a little more for you because I know you're so maligned. So how someone expresses through this sign is super important when it comes to compatibility. Now, that also applies to you. And now I'm going to break away from sun signs for just a sec to make a point that someone can have a lot of energy, which is usually seen around their moon sign. So let's go back to Brenda Smith. And I don't know, you might not know what these symbols are, but you can see the moon. It's in Virgo in her chart. So her moon's in Virgo, her sun is in Aquarius, 1 degree. She's a cusp. So we had to do her chart to know exactly what sun sign she was, and she is an Aquarian. But she's coming from, in her innateness, a Virgo energy and developing in this lifetime into an Aquarian consciousness. Now, we don't leave behind the moon. We evolve it through the Aquarian pattern. So you want to also be mindful of just when someone carries in their energy a certain dominant pattern, and it may not even be their sun sign. It really might be their moon or some other part of them that didn't get to express because of culture. What if you're a woman with an Aries moon in 1950? You think you're coming out and pioneering a company and going to be a big CEO and, no, you ain't. You're going to be Betty Crocker trying to make people happy because that's what the culture told you to do. But does that Aries moon go away? Absolutely not. It goes into the shadow, and you got 2 options. You either go marry a husband who carries the Aries energy for you, or you become a wicked queen. Because you can't live out directly, authentically, because culture won't allow it, your desire to be an individual, to run your own shots, call your own shots, run your own show. And so whenever something authentic about us gets shoved into the shadow, it becomes a fire-breathing dragon. And that can go all over the board in terms of how that manifests. But that's also how we get to shadow matching. Now, taking that in, but let's zone back down to zodiac signs. I know this is how deep this can go. I could go on and on. This is how complex we all are. And if anything else, it's already taught you, hey, I can't just reduce someone down to, well, they're a Pisces, so I better expect them to be dreamy and mindless and lost most of the time, or so hyper emotional and sensitive. No. Now, that said, back to Pisces. We want to be aware of, hey, how do folks in our lives, based on their zodiac sign, express that sign's pattern? And is it through an empowered conscious expression primarily, or are they really mostly in the shadow side of that sign? And why would we want to know that? Well, it's going to give you information, certainly about compatibility. I mean, hello, you're not going to want to go hang out with a narcissistic shadow Leo, are you? I mean, I don't know, maybe you do you? But you want to go, wow, that person is in the shadow side of their destiny. And I can make a choice to engage in shadow dance, or I can make a choice, we're not compatible. And it's not to judge them, but I don't have time for narcissists and people that drain my light. So make an empowered co-creative choice not to be in relationship with them if you can. Sometimes they're your boss. Sometimes they're your parents. Sometimes they're your siblings. And you don't get a lot of choices. You're already in, the family dynamics. But you can co-creatively navigate them with more compassion. That's one thing astrology gave me when it comes to relationships, was being able to see folks with a little detachment, if not a lot, and see them in their own struggles with love. Like, wow, you're just a Leo that hasn't seen its own star quality yet. You haven't arrived at that shift in your pattern and path of destiny yet. Well, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to send you good vibes. I hope you light up. We need your luminosity, but we don't need your black hole. I hope you become that star that you were born to be. And that applies to every single one of us. What kind of awareness and empowerment are you expressing through your sun sign? Remember, it is developmental. So we're getting, let's say, I'm going to use this word. I don't necessarily like it, but better and better with it all the time. I don't like that word because it implies that there's some hierarchical value in it all, and it's all just a journey of learning. I don't think we have to judge it that way. But now, you do want to be aware of not only the sun sign, but just their general zodiac, perhaps pattern energy. And if you know their chart, or if they allowed you to see their chart, which is something you absolutely should ask permission for. I really am against ever casting someone's chart without their permission. I don't think you'd want me to take your chart right now in front of thousands of people and start talking about everything in your shadow, or taking a look at you without your permission. And I would never do that. In fact, I gave up TV opportunities and have because I won't do that. I think it's unethical. That's just because I know what I can do with a chart. I'm badass. I can go into that thing and I can pull out so much, and I don't think that's cool to do without permission. So keep that in mind. Feel your own ethics in it as you go forward with some of the homework I'm going to give you. But I want you to take into view these dynamics, because we're going to pull them all now into a tour of the zodiac. And I'm going to give you a bit of a formula. And there's a tricky thing about formula, because I'm usually not a fan, but we have to start with some structure. And I think this is useful. So let's then consider everything I've just said and take our dive in now. And I'm going to first, once again, say hi to everybody. What's going on? Drink some ginger brew. Get my voice back. I hope this is helping. And I know it's sort of like a complete reversal for many of you, probably, of what you've thought around zodiac signs. But if you sit with it and feel whether or not it's true for you, which is all I'm asking you to do, I have a feeling you're going to come out of this with a very different perspective about folks in your life and other people. All right. So this is like halftime. You guys ready for the next half? Yes. I literally have to time myself because I could just keep going. I know so much about this stuff. Once again, if you have questions, write them down and bring them to the part 5 when I announce the dates, or the date for it. Let's start with some examples. And I'm going to pick, I've sort of mentioned these signs before, but I'm going to pick them because I think they're, for most of us, I've seen them most commonly talked about in negative ways. So I want to use them as a way to demonstrate, and then we're going through every sign. Let's start with Scorpio. So my dear Scorpios, listen up. This is for you. You poor things. Scorpio is often talked about in a lot of negative ways. And I wanted to share with you the way to look at a solar pattern through Scorpio, because it actually maps out in 4 different stages in a way that I could do kind of to every sign to some degree. But this one is so obvious. And I don't know if you are aware that Scorpio actually has 4 symbols. So you probably know the scorpion. It's constellation, Scorpius, right? But beyond that, in Scorpio, the pattern shifts from scorpion to snake, from snake to eagle, and then from eagle to phoenix. And what I'm not going to go into everything about that, but I will say this. Each subsequent, as I just gave that kind of order there, each subsequent in the sequence symbol represents an evolution of the pattern of Scorpio. So scorpion is briefly that reactive, I'll sting you if you even call me a name level of emotionality. Remember, this is a water sign. The solar development is about coming to understand one's psychology. at this sort of scorpion level. Why do you do what you do? Why do you react? Why do you react in ways that sabotage you and harm other people? So if you have a Scorpio sun, depending on the level of consciousness that you are working with in your journey of Scorpio, this is something that you may have struggled with or struggle with. Like I react, I get triggered. I can't help but want to, have revenge or feel like a victim or feel made wrong. So through deeper inquiry in oneself, and really, let's just say psychotherapy or counseling or inner work overall, shadow work, which is looking at one's shadow side and going into everything you've shoved into your unconscious, from trauma to your low worth to whatever it might be. Through that, you kind of, when you're doing that, you're kind of at the snake level. It's like I'm shedding skin, I'm learning things about myself. Each new shift and aha moment I have sheds another skin, and eventually you get so much momentum that you transfigure into an eagle. Which, what can an eagle do? It can get lift off the ground. Now, our eagles, they're raptors, right? So our eagles, some kind of airy-fairy bird? No, they ain't messing around. I have them around my house, I know. They're amazing, but they're not also going to come out of flight because you called them a name, or because you wrote some crap on their YouTube channel, or because you left some, called them something or betrayed them. Their view in their flight is just too pristine, and they can kind of see a bigger view that lets them not take things personally. This is a deeper, more advanced, if you will, I guess, evolved level of Scorpio consciousness. And then you get to Phoenix, where, the thing about the eagle is that you're still tied to life and death at the human level of survival. Nothing wrong with that. But once you become the Phoenix, even that does not have any power over you anymore. This is that level of, I can be the person that's like the Martin Luther King Jr. that may get taken out for telling the truth, but you know what? That doesn't scare me. That's Phoenix level of Scorpio. I'm an alchemical force in this life to culture, not just to who I'm in relationship with, but I can transform a whole culture through the way I'm in this pattern. So just to give you markers of how any sign can have different evolutionary expressions based on empowerment and awareness. And we need both. We need both empowerment and awareness. Then again, if one is in a let's say shadow expression of a sign, which is disempowered and unconscious, reactive, well, now we're in shadow match territory with compatibility. When we're in the empowered side, we're in flow matching. We're going to match in flow. So in the empowered side of Scorpio, you would flow match from the eagle / Phoenix level of that consciousness and that pattern. You would, what does that mean? You would be compatible with folks that also carry the same level of maturity in their emotional nature as you do. They would be great companions for you. There'd be a lot of flow there. So in the shadow expression, which would maybe be a lack of emotional maturity, it's, I call people names, I'm reactive. And in the shadow side here, one of the things that a shadow Scorpio will do is scapegoat other people, because the whole pattern, you're under a soul contract, if you will, to look at your shadow side. You've got to learn how to work with your shadow. And if you can't work with your shadow, you project it onto other people. That's what scapegoating is. I will scapegoat you with my own shadow because I can't look at it myself. Now, who's going to match to someone who's a scapegoater? Like, I scapegoat people. Well, someone in who themselves, this is like attracting like, who is also so disempowered that they can't stand up for themselves, and they may get a sense of value, oddly, because this is how esteem systems can develop, in being the recipient of other people's crap. Hey, you need somewhere to dump your crap. I'm available. My esteem system works this way. I'm not empowered enough or esteemed enough to not find value any other way. So bring it. Make me wrong. Dump your crap on me. Let's do this. And there's the match. So both carry compatibility in them, but one's shadow matching, one's flow matching. All right, one more example before we dive into all signs. Leo, disempowered, unconscious, and reactive. Let's say shadow match side. Well, this is when we look at a full-blown narcissist. What is a narcissist? Let's track this through the zodiac sign Leo. Leo's ruled by the sun in astrology. What is the sun? It's a star. What is a black hole? A collapsed star. It's a star that's collapsed on itself. What is the sun? Something that's gotten some kind of balance in its nuclear fusion to emit light, to be a star. In the Leo pattern, are you destined to become a star that way? Absolutely. In some creative way that is meant for you. Does that mean you're up on stage? Not necessarily. It does mean you're creatively in your own essence and you are your own creative authority. The king and queen archetypes are part of the Leo pattern, but it's the creative sense of owning oneself as a sovereign. It's not necessarily the king of or queen of Capricorn. This is about I'm creatively my own authority and I express my unique essence out luminously. Why? To light you all up. Because my mission is, now that I know I'm a star, I got to make sure you know you are too. So the shadow side of that is the narcissist, where I have to take light from the environment versus give light. And who's going to match with a shadow narcissist like this? A shadow Leo pattern. Codependents. People who are wanting to orb and satellite around someone. And those that are just drawn into that pull of that black hole because they haven't established their own solar sense of self yet either. So they're vulnerable to the gravity. And you get pulled in. Now, there's various forms of the narcissist. For example, the vampire, which is a seductive form. It seduces you into its orbit or into your house to take your blood. Narcissists usually bring you in through a compliment first, actually, by telling you how wonderful you are. Their whole objective is to get you into their gravitational field and then suck light out of you. So if you have narcissists in your life, you got to know this truth about shadow matching. It takes two to shadow match. So you have to look at not only, okay, that's a narcissist. I'm in their gravity field. I mean, the light's being drained out of me. Now, what is it in my shadow that makes me a match to that? Oof, that's where we start. Can you use your zodiac sign for that? Yeah. So another thing I'll add in as we get going here, it's really interesting. A lot of times our shadow matches with zodiac signs occur with the shadow side of the same zodiac sign that we are. I'm going to explain that in a zodiac sign that's coming up here shortly. Now, flow matches. What are those exactly? You already know these. I already talked about it. People that just, it works, man. It clicks. They're easy to be around. I just enjoy their company. They are empowering. I feel lit up when I'm around them. They bring vitality to our interactions. I feel like they propel my purpose and my destiny and have a vested interest in me becoming all I can. Now, keeping it real here, are there some bumps here and there? Sure. But nothing to override the flow. Do we hit rapids? Yeah, but we're still flowing. Do we come to calm lakes and hang? Sure. Do we go down a big waterfall sometimes together? Whoa, where are we going in this relationship? Yeah, but we still flow. Flow compatibility. Shadow match compatibility. Well, if you're a shadow match, you got to look at your own part. It is rough and tumble. It's crash and burn lessons to learn. You end up doing what I call shadow dancing. You shadow parts of you, dance with shadow parts of them. And sometimes it's a breakdance battle. Sometimes it's, some wicked tango. I mean, it's just, ugh. And we know those too, right? So let's start a tour of the whole zodiac. Let's start with Aries, of course. So taking a look at Aries here, how do you know if you're an Aries? Well, March 19th, April 19th, if you're someone solidly in between those dates, my friend, you are a sun in Aries. Does this play out differently in a patriarchal culture for men and women? This pattern, totally. Something I'll have to have you consider. I'm not going to dive into that too much now. What is the solar development for someone who has a sun in Aries? Well, let's frame it. We're going to frame every sign from this. What is the solar development and who is compatible with your Aries development if your zodiac sign is Aries? Well, someone that is going to support you becoming a warrior, a fighter, an intuitive risk taker, a hero or heroine, someone who's going to support you becoming an individual. Aries is all about the I am becoming singularly myself. Someone who supports you being a pioneer, someone who supports, let me just take that one out a minute. What if, pioneers, how you can tell them? By how many arrows they have in their back. So if you're looking for who's compatible with an Aries sun, Aries solar journey, it's people that help you when you get a few arrows in your back. They're the ones that day that are like, oh man, you're just blazing a new trail. This happens to every pioneer. What the hell do you think happened to Galileo? It's a little extreme, but you know what I'm saying? So this is a sign you are on track. I can't let you collapse into victim consciousness here. This is what happens to pioneers. That's a person that's compatible for you. The person that says, hey, yeah, all right, we're going to get those arrows out of your back and you're going to keep going. Someone would be compatible, like support you becoming an advocate, that becoming a rebel. Hey, you got to fight the system, the oppression. You gotta break and fight the tribal system here. You agreed to this. This is your solar heroic quest. Go. I got you. I'm right by you in battle. So you're going to be most compatible with, if you're an Aries, with people that do not allow you to identify as a victim. You're not a victim. You may have experienced things that are victimizing, but please, you are not a victim. Do not latch onto that as identity. It will tank your Aries journey. You're a fighter. You're a warrior. You're learning to become one. You're learning to realize, hey, and this is really true. I'm hearing it from my heart. If I stay on the Aries path, the powers of the universe really will rise to meet me. I will have to fight the good fight, but they will be with me. Our journeys of destiny are not about having our mountains taken away. It's about, I got it. That's the mountain for me. And I just need allies to climb it. So if you're an Aries, you need people that say, hey, stop praying for your mountains to be taken away. Get your ass up, pioneer, and head to the summit. Here's an energy bar. Here's some water. I'm on my radio. So call me if you need me. That's what you need. And you need someone in your life that does not play by sociocultural gender roles here, that says, look, be a woman, go out there in a masculine way. Not go be a man, go out there in a masculine way that works for what's authentic to you, and pioneer. Fight the good fight. You need folks like that in your life. Now, and this is where I'm going to jam your mind. So, Robert, which zodiac sign then would be, compatible then? Any of them. Any of them. And let me show you why. Okay, so you're Sun in Aries, and everything I just said, you need. And let's just go to, let's say, Gemini. And I'm going to say this is a flow compatibility. Why? Because I'm talking about a Gemini who is in the empowered and aware side of that pattern and says, okay, I got you. All right. I see you're having trouble with your Aries journey. So I'm going to talk you through this. Let's communicate. I'm going to help you see, because this is what a Gemini, advanced Gemini can do. Beyond either or. We're going to see both ends of this. We're going to get creative with our minds. We're going to get on the line and seek out information to help us on this pioneering path you're on. I'm going to network energy and information in. I'm a Gemini. It's what I do best. I got you. Let's do this. All right. That's one way Gemini could help an Aries. All right. Let's go to Cancer. I love this one. Hey, I see you're battle weary. You were out on the front lines again, pioneering today. Get over here. I've created this wonderful, emotional, safe place called home. Come on. I got you. You want to cry about it? You want to talk about it? You want to just sit and feel together? Hey, I baked you an awesome pumpkin cheesecake and a delicious dinner. Let's get you nourished. Let's get your emotions just felt through and just bring okayness and the safety and security of home. Just let's rest you up here, because tomorrow you're back out on the front line, pioneering even more. Cancer. Okay. All right, Robert. Sure. Cancer. What about Virgo? Okay. I'm an empowered solar advanced Virgo, my dear Aries. And I see you got some, battle strategy issues. Guess what? I am an integrator. I'm great at designing and creating and looking at options. And I am badass when it comes to the details. Let's look at the details. Let's get into the muck. Let's get this organized. You're battle weary. You're fighting ineffectively. You're not being efficient. I'm all about efficiency. I'm an advanced solar Virgo. I got efficiency down. So let's get you efficient. Let's get you organized. Let's come up with a new strategy. And I see you need some healing. You got some wounds there. I'm also a healer. Fantastic. Let me go get my apothecary of essences and all sorts of other remedies together, and let's get that on the mend. You see how this works? Any sign, I could go through any sign, and any of them would support Aries. Any would be compatible. And I'm obviously speaking from flow compatibility. Any of them would be. Because it's not about the sign, it's about the level of consciousness the sign is expressing itself through. The being, the person is expressing through that pattern. Whatever level of empowerment or consciousness they carry, that's what determines the compatibility. Period, end of sentence. Yes, I did. So, okay, you guys feel that? Now, shadow match compatibility with Aries. We're still in Aries. The thing is, once again, this can most often occur with the shadow expression of that same sign. So I'm going to teach you this now. What are shadow expressions of Aries? Let me give you one, the bully. The bully is a pattern that's an Aries pattern of someone who does not feel in touch with the masculine side of their own empowerment and therefore feels the need to emasculate others to feel powerful. It is vampiric in that sense. I will take power from you to feel more powerful. I'm the bully. I call you a name, make fun of you, embarrass you, whatever. I got tons of things in my arsenal. So it's all about me taking power from you so I feel more empowered where I feel no power. Now, inside of the Aries pattern, there's another match to the bully that's also a shadow Aries archetype, and it's called the coward. So, shadow matching 101, here we go. Bullies, they know who's a coward. They go right at them. And I can bully that person. I can see it in their energetics. I can see it in their empowerment. And I can, okay, here we go. Let me go pick on them. because I know they can't stand up to me. Now, sometimes, traditionally, when it comes to bullying, it's because the person's not big enough or whatever it might be. But we're talking about an energetic pattern in someone and the ways they match. A bully needs a coward and or a victim. So bullies don't mess with people they can't disempower and take out. That's why once you finally fight the good fight, and I'm going to be metaphorical here, punch the bully in the face, well, the bully doesn't mess with you anymore because they know I can't take power from you. So, all right, moving on. And this is how you can get into shadow match compatibility. You're very compatible with bullies because, hey, that's how it's set up here in the energetics, in the pattern of, this is just inside of Aries. We're not even in other zodiac signs. We'll do that next. But now, what if you're someone who is meant to be a leader, but you're unwilling to lead because you lack the confidence, you lack the sense of self and esteem to do it? Well, usually you get ruled by someone else. And I'm going to say like a tyrannical kind of boss or shadow queen woman or shadow queen, go to a man. I've seen shadow queen men too. I mean, and they own you. When really you're meant to not only own you, but lead. And until you go, wait a minute, I've had enough of this shadow match, shadow dance, and empower into the solar vibration of Aries in its light, you'll always be the follower. You'll be the servant. You'll be this indentured servant, something. This is how it works. Now, we're going to move on to looking at it from this point of view of other zodiac signs in the shadow form with Aries. Aries is a lot about establishing your own identity. That's 101, Aries 101. And to establish an identity is a masculine process for the most part, because we have to separate from tribal consciousness. We have to separate from family, ancestry, and dynamics and legacy. We have to separate from the sociocultural definitions put on us about who we're supposed to be and go, no, wait a minute. Okay, that's what you think, but this is who I am. And I define this through my own authenticity, my own soul. So, and guess what happens now? You're not only turning into a leader, you're also now becoming a rebel. You're rebelling against, at this level of identity, what everyone else thinks you should become. And let me just say something about the sun signs in another layer. Sometimes we have a sun sign, and don't go so mega and supersize it. Sometimes your Aries journey is to pioneer out of your family's karmic history or your family's patterns. And that's really where most of your Aries solar quests will occur. Sometimes it's in business. Sometimes it's in another arena of life, or it's in many. So we have a tendency of supersizing. Keep it on a micro, because really it could be as simple as, I've got to break free from the overwhelming sense of disempowerment and being subjugated by my father that I went through. And I've got this Aries sun sign leading the way. Yes, you do. All right. But if it's another zodiac sign, if you cannot, as an Aries, establish your own identity, well, then maybe you go into another shadow Aries archetype, which is the shapeshifter and people pleaser. And what does the shapeshifter and people pleaser match with? Well, I already said narcissists. That would be shadow Leo. And maybe you match with someone who's a psychological manipulator. That would be shadow Scorpio. How is this useful? Well, you could go, well, wait a minute. How do I locate me in looking at them? They're mirroring me in the shadow match. So what in me matches? And what zodiac sign are we working with here? What zodiac energy? That might better help me locate the pivot or shift out of this into a flow compatibility, different relationship magnetics. Boom, boom, boom. That's what I'm talking about. Now, I used Aries to spend a lot of time here because I want you to get foundational pieces, because I'm going to whip through the other signs right now. All right, Taurus, solar development. What do you need that's compatible for you if you are a sun in Taurus? You need someone who's going to help you become a builder, an artist, steadfast, patient. You need people in your life that are earthy, grounded, to teach you that. That's what you're here to learn. You need someone that can help you become more grounded in the feminine part of your psyche. Doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, or something in between, or non, I don't know. Fill in you. It doesn't matter. This is energy, not gender. So this is about being embodied in your body, sensually engaged with the world. You know, I have a brother who is a Taurus, and when he was a kid, and he has Taurus energy beyond his sun sign, he would smell everything. And I would just watch him. I must have just been an innate little astrologer even then. Watch him. I'm like, you touch and smell everything. I didn't do that. You know, in my own sun journey, I do that more now, but that developed. So you need people in your life that help you also see your own value in terms of the resources you possess and how those resources are meant to help you create beauty, stability, abundance in this world. So a lot of times when it comes to a Taurus pattern, we oftentimes in astrology say gardener, contractor, builder contractor, maybe architect. Perfume, someone who does perfume. So, someone that's involved in clothing design, beauty, sculpture. Just riffing around here to land you in the solar pattern. So what's the flow compatibility going to be for someone who's a Taurus? Well, let me add another angle here. Sometimes the most compatible sign is someone who's also a Taurus, but further along in the Taurus journey than you. So they got this down. They've gotten in their body. They are working with sensuality. They're working with an understanding of their own resources, what they're here to create and build on Earth. And they become like a Taurus mentor. Hey, I'm about a light year ahead of you in the Taurus pattern. So let me share with you what I can offer in terms of how you can become a more empowered Taurus. And let me give you the essentials of how I got here. Now, you're not going to become me, you'll become you, but here are some fundamentals. So sometimes we look to our lives and we want to be with someone in a more advanced zodiac sign because they've already got it down. Usually they're older than us, not always. And we go, well, you know, I need to be around someone who's just a bit more of an advanced Virgo. They already know how to organize, systematize, and make things efficient. I'm learning it. I'm okay, but you know, they could teach a masterclass on it. I can't even teach anything on it. Something to consider. And that's true for every sign. I won't say that in every sign, but just keep that in mind. All right. Now, as far as flow compatibility, yes, a more advanced Taurus, but what would someone who is a Scorpio, an advanced Scorpio, have that would help a Taurus become more of a Taurus? Well, I'm going to give you real life examples from readings. I did many readings on people, and oftentimes I'm going to have to, slant this more toward women, in which they had gone through some violation sexually of their own body at any age. I'm just going to say that. And they had a Taurus sun, which was about healing that violation to be fully in their senses again, their sexuality again, their sensuality again. So if they met a Scorpio, an advanced Scorpio, oh my goodness, compatibility, come on. Hey, I'm an advanced Scorpio. I know the laws of the human psyche. I know the shadow like the back of my hand. I can sense in you your blocks, your trauma anchors from what you went through. Let's get down to some alchemy. How about we release those trauma anchors, get you in present time in your body? I got this. This is what I do. So contrary to what you may read in a lot of astrology books is Scorpio being the worst compatible sign for Taurus. It actually, frankly, is often the exact opposite. But it depends on the kind of Scorpio we're talking about. It may have been a lower level Scorpio that actually violated someone in this case. But there's a truth to relationships. We're wounded through them, but we also heal through them. We're wounded through what happened to us in our past, whether it's our parents, whatever, but then we also heal through a relationship to someone loving, someone who can see us for our holism, our shadow and light, someone who can, and that helps us heal too. Near as I can tell, you can't actually heal fully without relationship. So this interesting dynamic of being alive. And this is more, I'll just throw that to Libra, which is ahead. But now, all right, Scorpio. Now, once again, could I go through every other zodiac sign and do the same pivot and shift? Yes, I'll give you one more. How about Aquarius and Taurus? Ooh, big air sign. In astrology, squares Taurus. Yeah, that's true. So how would Aquarius be compatible with Taurus? Well, Aquarius might be the iconoclast revolutionary that has this vision that sees culture and goes, wait a minute. You need to understand something about how you were violated through your religion. You were in a religion that divorced heaven and earth. Heaven was this place you need to get to and redeem yourself to get to, and earth is this lowly place of banishment. I'm an Aquarian, and I'm telling you, I see the holism and spherical nature of this cosmos, and that's a made-up story. And my dear Taurus, for you to be in heaven and earth consciousness versus heaven versus earth consciousness, we gotta have a revolution of thought here. And that thought is this: hey, this is all good, beautiful, and part of creation. So enjoy your sensual life as if you were in the ethers of heaven, snorting a star. It's all good. Now, if I pivot to Sagittarius, how would a Sagittarius help a Taurus? Similarly, Sagittarius would say, listen, my whole journey as a seeker is to understand God, whatever that is, as a creative force and the creative laws of life. I'm really curious, what are those? What does it mean to co-create with them? That's a Sagittarian question. So, hey, Taurus, I see you struggling with this, abundance on earth dynamic and needing to develop a consciousness that just enjoys that glass of wine. Well, yeah, what Aquarius said, you got some religion here in your consciousness called, fundamentalist Christianity, which thinks in either or and has you, heaven versus earth in yourself and bifurcated and polarized. Let me tell you what. There are as many paths to God as people alive, and your path happens to be with the earth. So get your feet on the earth. Enjoy. Now, once again, I could go through every sign the same way. We do not have time. But I want you to learn these fundamental pivots and thought reversals and shifts. Doesn't it feel good? It's got to feel good, right? All right, so going to Gemini. After this brief interlude and drink. How are y'all doing? I'm doing a live for those of you watching on demand on YouTube. And by the way, there's someone scamming out there trying to get your birth information. Please ignore them. I wish I could block them right now. I can't do that. I will do it later. And to that person, that's some pretty dark karma. All right. Gemini. Solar development. Who is someone that is, what you need for solar development as a Gemini is someone who helps support you becoming a very curious human being. Gemini is about understanding and learning from all that exists in this life. It's where we get our language. It's about giving things a name, and that's a book, and that's a pen, and that's a poster, and that's a painting. So there's this driver in the Gemini pattern to really enrich the mind, develop the mind, communicate, network, learn all that you can. So you need people in your life that really empower your curiosity. And here's the vulnerability of Gemini, the shadow side. It is to think in black and white. When we look at the twins, we're talking about what? Polarity. We're talking about good or evil twin. We're talking about male or female twin. We're talking about ugly or pretty twin. These are the motifs in twins, for the most part, in a lot of the stories around Gemini. And it's not that you're meant to, move into this either or way of seeing. Rather, it's to first recognize there is duality, there is polarity. It's part of the Gemini lesson. And there's everything in between that then sort of takes you out of that consciousness. The end game of Gemini is living in a rainbow of life. Yeah, there's black and white, but there's a whole lot of other cool colors in between, and I want to know every single one of them. And that's when Gemini flourishes as a pattern of development. And so it's this curiousness. It's, yes, possibly becoming someone who is social and wants to interact and engage, to learn about life through people. Someone who is learning how to express through communications like writing. Someone who is developing a sense of irony and paradox and humor. So you need people in your life that help that out. You need folks that don't empower black or white thinking, that don't put you into polarity. Every situation in your life should be approached through this curious question of, what's the both and of this situation? What's the both and of me and that person over there? And you need folks in your life, the flow compatibility is folks in your life that help you do that. Shadow compatibility is going to be people or folks in your life that do the opposite, that try to pull you into their polarization, that try to make you see that it's only this way or that way. You know, I'm a registered independent politically, and I find it interesting that whenever anyone thinks outside of whether it's a Republican or Democrat frame of mind, it's assumed that you're the opposite side. No one ever goes, oh, are you an independent? They assume you're already the opposite of their side just because you think differently. That's the kind of culture we're in, and that's what I'm talking about. It's assumed you're on one polarity or the other. And as a Gemini, I'm going to tell you, get on the middle. You will thrive in the middle. And you need folks in your life that help you do that. Now, which, let's say, shadow matches or with solar developmental matches in Gemini would help you? Oh my gosh, well, let's just go to Capricorn. How would an advanced Capricorn help a Gemini? Seems like, what? You guys are weird bedfellows, huh? Well, let's say the Capricorn says, listen, here's what I've learned in my advanced mountain climbing and in my assumption of a bigger role of responsibility to society. You know, just as an aside, Capricorn is oftentimes symbolized as the mountain goat, but in its origins, it's actually the sea goat. And I'm going to reframe what that sea goat imagery is about. Now, if you go do research on this, you're going to go into a hole that kind of, I feel, doesn't really take you anywhere. But let's just I don't know, adopt this perspective if it works for you. The sea goat represents the sea, which is the collective consciousness of humanity. And that's the fish side, the fishtail. The goat side is your earthly service or mountain climb to the collective. It's where when we get to Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, we're now in collective pattern signs. Capricorn kicks it off. Sagittarius preps us there. We start asking more questions about the world and the universe and why we're here. It takes us beyond just the personality and the self. We become more transpersonal. And by the time we get to Capricorn, it's like, yeah, I am here to work in some capacity in a role to society. the us of the collective. There's the fishtail. So Capricorn goes, hey, look, I've arrived at this place in my development where I understand that life, metaphorically, and living and creating life is a bit like a mountain climb. And you have to have a lot of flexibility and dexterity as a climber if you're going to get to the summit. So Gemini, let me share with you the pivots I've had to make, how thinking in both and got me up the mountain. So, there's not just one way. I had to find a few different possibilities and change in route. Change what? My mind, my strategy, my plan. How did I get sure-footed? I was curious and flexible. So let's chat. I see you're struggling with this either or polarity. Well, I'll tell you, that just keeps you on one circle, cycling around the base of the mountain. You want up? Let's both and this baby. I'll teach you what I know. All right, moving on to Cancer. What does a Cancer need in terms of what's a flow compatibility? Now, let me go back to Gemini. What does a Gemini need in terms of shadow match compatibility? Well, it's not what you need. It's what you will magnetically draw in, first of all. So scratch that language. But it is, all right, the more I'm polarized, the more I'm going to be hanging out with fundamentalists, the more I'm going to be hanging out with people that have rigid minds. And that sounds like a shadow Aquarius or a shadow Sagittarius to me. Or people who are highly, highly perfectionistic. Well, it sounds like a shadow Virgo. It's this way. This is the way to do it. It's the only way. It's the only way to believe. It's the only way to think. Once again, we could go into the shadow archetypes of Gemini. And now we're going to be shadow matching with people. So just a few examples there to help you understand, hey, you've got to understand your matching. And really, truly, don't use it to judge someone else. Use it to look at you. You're responsible for your own magnetics. So if you want to change those, you can. But it doesn't do you a solid to focus on someone else just because you attracted them to you. It's where you got to go, wait a minute, I could sit here and resent the teacher, or I could learn the lesson and redo my magnetics. Which is it going to be? Well, dear Gemini, my dear student, be teachable. Keep learning. All right, Cancer. What kind of compatibility in compatibility flow does a Cancer need? It needs people, that understand you are on a vulnerable emotional journey. And you need people, as Brené Brown beautifully has stated in her work, that have earned your vulnerability. And you are on this quest to create your own sense of family and home. So we call that your chosen family. So it needs to be chosen, conscious, empowered, chosen with your heart. And you go, okay, this is my chosen family. Because the family, perhaps, that I'm actually from, in terms of my origin, didn't go so well. Didn't feel safe. I've got to create emotional safety somehow myself. And I've got to let go of these magnetics that have kept me repeating exactly what my parents did. I've got to have a different dynamic. So you need folks that understand themselves emotionally as well. Here's a truth that Cancer really will thrive with. It's knowing that others can only ever give you an intimacy they have with themselves. Stop looking for intimacy from other people that don't have that intimacy with them. They're never giving it to you. So Cancer goes, got it. And bye-bye shadow matches. Mwah, thanks for the lessons. But I'm going to start vibing and attracting with those that they get the importance of home, the importance of having some protection and what's most valuable and vulnerable emotionally. And the more I have that in my life, the more I feel connected. And it's vulnerable. I've got to learn vulnerability. I've got to also learn how to be safe in a world that forever will be unsafe. So I can't lean into some shadow Aquarius match that says, in an ideal world, through my vision, everyone is safe. And when that happens, now you can emotionally let down your guard. No, it's not my journey, Shadow Aquarius. Thanks for your shadow idealism, but that's not practically realizable. It's never happening on this planet, and certainly not in my lifetime. So what are the other options? Well, then you have Scorpio step on in its brilliant advanced stages of Eagle and Phoenix and says, well, I got some for you. You just got to know the shadow side of people. That's how you'll learn who is safe to be vulnerable with and who isn't. Are you going to maybe, I don't know, have some crash and burn lessons to learn betrayals? Yeah, but get back up. Because someone out there is going to get it. They're going to be at your level. They're going to match and be compatible with you. So you want to understand some shadow work and the shadow side of the human psyche and learn how to evaluate the shadow of other people, not in a way to judge them, no, but in a way to understand, hey, is this person going to be safe with my vulnerability? I got this down. I'm Eagle level Scorpio, so come on. All right, Cancer. I gave you both shadow and flow. Let's keep going with that format from now on. Leo. Talked about this a lot already. What kind of compatibility flow matching do you need? Compatibility is there for you here. Well, you need people that understand and see in you the light that's already there. In the Leo path, it's oftentimes about there's already a light there. You're just not, you don't know how to be on stage. It's too scary for you to be on stage. You need people that are like, hey, and I'm being metaphorical there. Hey, I want to support your creative genius. You are incredible. I see your light. Or I just see a spark of what could be, and I'm here for it. So I am a Virgo, Leo. And here's what I know. I know systems of life. I know human ecology. And I also know creative ecology. And you've got something creative that this world needs for is healing. I'm also a healer. I'm in the advanced stages of Virgo, and I am beyond being mired in shadow perfectionism as my modus operandi. No. I'm efficient. I am very practical and pragmatic. So I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass and tell you how wonderful you are where you don't got it. But I'm going to tell you where you got it. And that's going to scare you more than where you don't got it, because that's the party that's going to get you seen. So let's be practical here. I am your Virgo friend and guide. And let me tell you, best way to do this, just one step at a time. One step of visibility at a time with what is in your heart and soul. And we'll get you on that stage. The world will be blessed. Light ray by light ray, as you take step by step. And I got you. So now let's say let's go inside a Leo. You're sun in Leo, but you're the invisible sun in Leo. And not only that, you got shadow matches with narcissists. And so, all right, now you're in this shadow match with narcissists. And you keep getting your light. Whatever you're starting to light, it's drained out. And then you go hide again. And if you start to shine too bright, they let you know. Hey, excuse me, I'm the center of attention here. I'm the narcissist. You're shining a bit too bright. Dim it down, or I'll dim you. And trust me, I know how. So there's where you could match with a narcissist that would say, your creativity, you think that's going to go anywhere, kid? No. All I'm going to do is mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all, and it better not be my son or daughter or my friend. It still better be me. And you need to recognize that match. They're actually, in a weird way, saying to you, you are brilliant and luminous, but invisible. That's one way you can work with that. Now, going on to Virgo, what kind of solar development, compatibility, flow matching does Virgo need? You need folks around you that keep it real, that keep you on track with understanding what is practical, what it means to be a practical optimist versus reckless optimist, what it means to be in a pragmatism so that you can build a life and build and engineer and design things and create systems of life that are efficient, useful, and really get you traction. You've got to learn how to take things that are maybe, let's get some companions here. Let's say you have got this really very aware and evolved Aquarius. And they're a great compatible companion for you. Why? They have vision. They see the bigger cosmic vision, the spherical level of things. But because they're evolved, they're not in elitism or fundamentalist ways of seeing from a visionary's eyes. They get it. There's practical realities on Earth that will determine karmically, resource-wise, what is practically realizable of any vision. And so they say to you, hey, listen, okay, I'm looking from up here, the cosmic perspective of all I see. I want to teach you how to do that. I want to teach you how to get out of the details to get bigger perspective so that you can get back into the details and knock this out. Create this, design this, make this sufficient. And work with, as an integrator, all sorts. Hey, I'm an Aquarius. Hey, I know energy healing is not only real, but happening all the time. In fact, I could teach you about it, and then you could use your Virgo pattern and path to create a system of it. You in? Hey, let's do light healing. Let's do color healing. Let's work with the light body. I see it all. My eyes are just completely in this state of Aquarius. I'm an engineered to see light bodies. You want to talk? I'm sure we could swap and create a system of light body healing. Boom. But what happens when, let's say, Virgo gets a shadow match of, let's just go to, which one haven't we done yet? Let's just go to shadow Pisces. Ooh, yeah. Which in zodiacally is its opposite. So Pisces, okay, right on the opposite. Let's just look at that chart. And if you take a minute here, look at your own chart, as I have not been showing the charts because I've been too busy in the flow of this. But we go to Virgo here, August 22nd through September 22nd, it's opposite, which is across the way from it is Pisces. So, all right, what kind of shadow matching with a shadow Pisces would Virgo do? Well, here's the deal. Shadow Pisces, one of the more obvious expressions of it is the straight up addict. So you've got Virgo wanting to be efficient, wanting to, in its solar journey, create healing. And it's an earth sign, so there is, all that serves embodiment. It serves being in the earth and being part of the earth and being part of the ecology of the earth. Well, Pisces, in its shadow expression of the addict, is all about getting out of this plane. This plane is, and this is one level, this plane is too emotionally hard. I don't know how to be with it. It's too painful. And I just want to disincarnate. So whatever addiction I can find, I'll use. So if you are in some kind of shadow perfectionist, you could match with an addict. Now track with me. Because why? Why, right? The perfectionist is about a need to control. And many reasons why we might want to do that. Protect our vulnerability. It's a feeling like we have to do it to survive. We want to control others so we don't feel abandoned. I could go down a whole list of why we control. Yet, Pisces is about, in its light side, hey, all is one. You are a soul on the human journey. So get on to that human journey and be here now. In its Attic side, it's, I don't want to be here. So the perfectionist actually doesn't want to be here either. The perfectionist doesn't want to be here until things are what? Perfect. I cannot be with the moment as it is. There's something out of place. I got to go fix that. I got to fix that. Once I fix this, then I can finally be here. Once I fix this, then I can finally be myself. Once I fix... Neither wants to be here. So then it makes you go, well, how does an addict, but with a perfectionist, how does it not? All right. So Virgo. Now, moving on to Libra. So if you're a Libra, September 22nd to October 22nd, what kind of compatibility companion, in terms of flow compatibility, do you need? Well, your solar journey is about learning through relationships your value, and most notably, how to make choices from what you value. It's a big part of the Libra pattern of learning and development. People that know their values really well usually can make choices very quickly. Generally speaking, a lot of times when people can't make choices because they don't know their values. So I'm going to sit here and have to figure that out with my mind because I don't know my embodied sense of values. I kind of live some rotating sense of value. So Libra needs folks in its life that are willing to get into really the grit of relationship itself, that are willing to relate and work toward finding balance, equality, a sense of shared value. So your magnetics are going to draw in, folks that in the flow capacity of this value you, and you both share in reciprocity of valuing each other. And that expresses in multiple ways. So Libra might draw in a, let's go to its opposite, Aries, a very enlightened Aries as a companion, which would normally be its opposite. But in this sense, no, it isn't. Aries says, hey, I'm really interested in finding my intuitive reasons for living, why I'm here, who I even am, and really pioneering from there out into life creatively in some risky, kind of adventurous way. And Libra says, cool. And he says to Libra, look, you're trying to find out how you find yourself in relationships, from one-on-one to people to groups. Okay, well, come on this adventure with me. I know myself enough to know I'm an adventurer, and I think you need to see all the things that relate in this world with me on this adventure I'm going to take. Come on. We're going to India. We're going to Nepal. We're going to France. But we're going to go put ourselves into relationship with the other as an adventure of self-discovery. You in, Libra? Libra goes, yeah, okay. Now, what would a shadow match with Libra be? Well, compatibility-wise, you could match with somebody who, let's go to Shadow Capricorn. You match with a Shadow Capricorn. And that's because Shadow Capricorn they want to get up the mountain, whatever that is. It's usually one that's greedy or one that's ambitious in a shadow way and disconnected way from its karmic effects on others. Whatever it is, their goal will eventually affect people around them because the Capricorn movement in the world does that. But it'll affect people negatively in this sense, meaning it'll victimize people. So if you're someone who, and this is a real challenge for the shadow dynamic of Libra, it really can struggle with victim consciousness because you're trying to learn fair and unfair, and that's where you're starting with at a human level when it comes to value, personal value, social justice value. And we see things in the world every day that shatter any sense of fairness even existing, right? And so Libra's on this journey of, all right, in compassion to it's seeming that fairness doesn't exist and that, you know, there isn't some overarching balancing of good. How do I create in this world? Well, the shadow Capricorn, if you're heavy and that can throw you right into the victim, that and this and that happened to me or them isn't fair. Now, I'm not making this negative necessarily as wrong, but fair or unfair, that language is the language of the victim. That's the part of us that sees life that way. That's just how it is. It's a pattern. But if we, and this is Libra's challenge, if Libra makes victim experiences identity and says, I am a victim, and that's how they walk around, well, what kind of magnetics do you think that activates? And this isn't to shame victims. I'm speaking as a technician. Because I've seen this, I saw this reading after reading. It activates somehow through synchronicity, finding yourself in victimizing situations. And sometimes it's not even that situations are that victimizing, it's just that that's how you see them. So you could be a shadow match to someone who is a shadow Capricorn that's just happy to step on you to get up the mountain. And you drew them into your life. Now, is that something you should shame yourself for? Absolutely not. Does it make you wrong? No. This is the technical landscape of co-creation. And the whole point is pivot out, man. You know, we have victimizing experiences, but we can also live in that truth and absolutely fight for justice and fairness and try to establish a sense of balance and also not consider ourselves as victims and make that identity. If you make that identity, there's some really harsh magnetics telling you that you'll never get to your value. So let's say you're a Libra and now you're getting a divorce. Ooh, Libra territory. And you say about your spouse, I'm going to take him to the cleaners. Well, what is that? Well, it's the shadow victim in you having a team now with the Avenger and a bunch of other forces ready to go clean up all the finances out of your spouse's account. Why? You're trying to get to enough. You're trying to get to, that wasn't fair. They cheated on me, this and that. And if I, as your spiritual guide, took a step back and let's bring in positive, let's bring in the intuitive advisor. Let's go Sagittarius on this. And I looked at it all and I saw the bigger pattern. I'd say, you know, what's really true here, because I work with truth. I'm Sagittarius. That's my gig. What's really true is you cheated on yourself because you were not there for you. And instead chose the flashy things that you thought would get you to enough instead of the things that are of true value to your heart and soul. So while it might seem like your spouse betrayed you, you were betraying yourself long before then, and they just acted it out. And then we'd have to come together and go, maybe that affair was co-created. Yeah, maybe. And the victim in us bristles So Libra could go to that Sagittarian intuitive advisor and go, okay, give me the truth. Give me the schemata. I need to know. And that Sagittarian companion, very compatible, could lift you out of that victim and say, look, we all have stuff happen and it sucks. But we do learn from it, grow from it. We can. Do you want to do that? Do you want to find a different metric of value than what you were running your life on before? A different scale of balance? Let's level you up, Libra. Come on now. So, Libra. Scorpio. Scorpio needs, as compatible match companions, people in their lives that understand they are on a shadow journey. And that's real vulnerable. And frankly, honestly, hard to come by. So Scorpio will be most compatible with any zodiac sign that has had its own sort of dark night and come into a new level of consciousness and empowerment in its own pattern. To help Scorpio go, listen, here's what's true. Let's go Virgo. I am an evolved Virgo, and I am a technician like you can't even believe. I can look at a system, whether it's a psychic system, whether it's an intuitive system, whether it's a mechanical system, a tech system. I can look at that system and I can see all the parts work together. And therefore, you know what I see? I see karma. I see karmic systems in systems. So, Scorpio, here's what we got to do. You're totally Scorpion right now. We got to get you to Snake and then level up to Eagle. But let's just start where you are. Here's the deal. Every time you react, you're now creating a reactive self-sabotaging system of self. So when you sting others, you actually sting you. It comes back on you and sabotages you. You think you're getting even. You think somehow you're getting your value back. All you're doing is hurting yourself. Do you want to look at that? I can technically help you do that. Let's just start with me pointing out the technical ways this is going for you. You do this, the karmic consequence is this, it comes back to you as this, and now you're in a self-sabotage loop. Do you want out? And then, okay, I've laid it out. I'm, this Virgo that's got the tech systems and technician going on, but then steps in a enlightened Libra, which is also got this beautiful counselor, and the counselor in this enlightened Libra goes, listen, Virgo's right. Technically this is the karmic system you've got going on. Now, do you want to actually talk about why you react? Do you want to get to, I'll mirror you with compassion and love, and we'll level you up into clarity on why you do what you do. Very compatible. And on and on and on. And then we go to Sagittarius, which becomes a bit of an intuitive director. Then we go to Pisces, which becomes a spiritual director to the Scorpio. And before you know it, we're at Phoenix. Now, all said, you need folks in your life that can offer a psycho-spiritual sense of support. Yes, psychological, absolutely. Yes, spiritual too. You need to understand karma. You need to understand karmic systems. Therapeutic support, absolutely. And then grounded earth level support of how this life's just flat out hard for most folks. Yeah. Thank you, Capricorn. And then next thing you know, you climb the mountain through Capricorn's help, and now you're looking at it and you're, oh my gosh, I'm an eagle. I sprouted wings. Whew. Now, shadow matches for the shadow Scorpio. A lot of times those are found inside of the shadow Scorpio options. If you go Scorpion to Scorpion, man, You're all stinging each other. It's War of the Roses. It's, I'm going to get you, I'll get you, I'll get you. Before you know it, you've burned the house down, right? But you can also do this with start matching with other shadow matches through other zodiac signs. And before you know it, it just becomes this whole dark grid. And the only thing that's going to light that up, ironically, is a dark night. And then the dawn can happen. So you want to look, I would just look generally with Scorpio, because I could go on and on about this, at any of the more shadow aspects of other signs and understand how those would match the shadow Scorpio. All right, Sagittarius, solar development in terms of the zodiac sign. What's compatible for it? What does it need? You're a seeker. You are here to wake up to truth. And let me tell you, I don't have time to go into it, but there are 4 levels of truth. Sagittarius needs to get acquainted with each one. There's personal, there's relative truth. There's soul contract truth, meaning this is true for just your destiny and journey. Not for everybody, but for yours it is. From a soul level. And then there's universal truth. It's true for everyone. Personal, hey, it's true for me personally. Relatively speaking, this is true. So, hey, I'm in Aspen, Colorado at 7:20 p.m., but that's not true in Australia. That's not true on the West Coast or the East Coast. It's only true here. It's relative to me. So Sagittarius, hey, you need people that help you keep your eye on the prize. Hey, listen, don't get stuck on one truth as the truth. No. Don't make what is your truth everyone's truth. No. There's as many paths to the divine or understanding truth as people alive. So, come on. Now, when you get more seasoned, you will be called to turn around and teach truth to people in these ways. Now, you need people, if you're Sagittarius, to support that. And the vulnerability is getting into fundamentalism around truth, getting into belief without any groundedness. So let's go on this. All right. I am a Sagittarius struggling with the shadow side, trying to get my footing in truth and understanding co-creative law and all this. And all of a sudden comes another shadow Sagittarius teacher that tells me there's only one law in the universe and it's all just about attraction. And that's all there is. And I somehow take that in and start to believe it as the truth. And hey, you got this more elevated, lit up Virgo friend that goes, wait a minute. We got to look at the whole ecology of Earth and the universe, because this just doesn't feel right. I can't take this law you're talking about as being the only law of life and take it to every area of every system of life and have it be true. It doesn't work out that way. So, do you want to come with me to the practical lived experience of being alive? I'm Virgo. I know systems. I know what it's like to be on the ground here in systems of ecology and Earth and reality. And do you want to take a tour with me? And let's just take this truth to the streets. Let's see what happens. You in? And then there you go. Great compatible companion. Now, this is an interesting place to just pause for a sec. In a time where we seem to be able to select whatever truths we want via our news sources or via social media or whatever. And I'm going to tell you, karmically, that's dangerous and it will ultimately fail you. So Sagittarius, in its light, would come back and teach just that. Hey, listen, if you keep thinking you can self-select truth just because you want something to be true, even though in a karmic system of life, it's not true, that karma will just keep doing itself. So if you don't believe climate change is true, but the karmic factors of science are showing it is, and that humans have a big part of that, then you're going to be in the South and have tornadoes rip through your entire towns, and it's January, December. In fact, they'll happen all year. And not because we're being punished, but because we just couldn't get into truth without our bias running it, or our political parties running it, or whatever. This is a very interesting place to just take a minute with yourself and go, wait a minute, maybe I should take a minute and consider how my magnetics are working here. Just generally for everyone when it comes to Sagittarius. Now, back to Sagittarius. Shadow matching would be just what I was saying. You start to get into a sense of a shadow side of other zodiac signs. So the Aquarian shadow side of, let's just say, truth. This is the only way that we can move forward in this elitist vision I have on how to stop climate change, for example. There's no other way. I'm an Aquarian. I see more than you. Oh, really? Okay. Or, and then we're now fundamentalists hanging out. Or, hey, you know what? This is how I believe a perfect world will come about. Believe, says Sagittarius. Hooks up with fundamentalist Aquarian that goes, yes, exactly. This is a war of good and evil. Then they get together with Shadow Gemini. Ooh, Shadow Gemini. Yes, that's right. There's good and evil. Two polarities. Always at war. Ah, but then the light mystical Pisces steps in and goes, wait a minute. Huh? What? No. There is, yes, one could say evil in the world and good in the world. Yes. But I'm here to tell you there's a light, mystical light, that has no polarity, that does not oppose or fight with anything. It's called love. You in? You can stay in your concocted reality here and its karmic system, or you could come over here to all is one. And a cosmic heart. That's what I have. I'm Pisces. Yeah, I'm emotional. I'm a water sign, but it's cosmic, baby. This is not the small human heart, which is lovely, but it can't pump this kind of perspective through your life. It just can't circulate it. So do you want cosmic light, or are you going to stay in your polarities? All right, Capricorn. What does a Capricorn need? You need people that have your back on your mountain climb. You need folks in your life that go, look, you're going to make it. This mountain was meant for you. This journey of working with the public was meant for you. This is where you've got to really earth down into some sense of identity that can help you get up that mountain. So let's be a survivor here. You got it. I'm an Aries, which connects to the coach archetype, and I'm an elevated Aries. Hey, I'm going to coach you. Did you fall down? All right, let's go. Get back up. You got this. Come on. You need people like that. People that also help you understand, and in a sense that helps you feel held in okayness, that life's hard. And you got this, both and. I wouldn't match you with compatibility-wise with someone who says, life's hard, let's have a victim party. I mean, hey, I like having those sometimes, honestly, but I'll invite you if you'd like to join me. But, you know, and there's a usefulness if you do it consciously, I found. Like, you can kind of have this catharsis and woe is me party, and then you can move on. Hell yeah. But, you know, most compatible energies with you are going to be the zodiac signs that say, hey, listen, you got this journey. You got it. And I'm here to help you. And by the way, I'm Libra. Hey, you can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. We all need relationship to get where we're going. No one gets to their full expression of potential alone. No one. No one gets to the top of a mountain alone. Even if it looks like you're alone, you're not. You have no idea how many forces are surrounding you, how much grace is there with you, how much of life is there with you. Synchronicities with you, everything's with you on those mountain climbs. Now, I wouldn't match you with people that help you sit around and try to pray for that mountain to go away, but I would damn well match you with people and zodiac signs that are like, no, let's just pray to get up this mountain. Let's do it. You need folks in your life that understand the practical side of survival and what it takes in a gritty, real way to forge forward and run or build something in this world at a more level of like a company or a service, and begin to see how you're evolving the whole of your life into a very skilled, empowered, conscious mountain climber that knows, hey, there's a part of me that has this fishtail. That's my connection to the collective. I can use that to propel myself forward. So, hey, Aquarius, you're above the mountain, right? Okay, can you just take a look down onto this mountain and give me a sense of the next challenges and pitfalls that I'm headed toward? Maybe I can reroute a little bit. Sure, I'm on it. Hey, Pisces, you deal in miracles, right? Yeah, that's your territory. That's your gig. Okay, I need you to help me. I don't know if it's a prayer I need. Show me how to access greater power, higher power, whatever. Guide me. I need some spiritual direction here. I need some mystical direction because I don't know if I'm going to make this summit or not. Pisces, I'm on it. So Capricorn, in its shadow side, similar to Libra, can really start to anchor into victim consciousness. Life's really hard. I'm a victim of life. Life's always happening at me or to me. Capricorn, in its power, goes, no. I'm happening to life. I'm empowering myself through my life path to realize I happen to life. Yeah, life can happen to me, but I happen right back at it. I get up and keep climbing. So the shadow matching here is going to be kind of most often in that depressive victim energy. And sitting around with a bunch of people that just keep complaining with how hard their life mountains are. And hey, not right or wrong. Let's just be technical here. It's not going to help you up the mountain. That's all. So, and any sign in its shadow form could fall into that. So moving into Aquarius, what kind of compatibility when it comes to zodiac signs and compatibility flow does Aquarius need? Aquarius needs the compatibility of people that can understand its path is learning how to see with what I call is spherical vision. And spherical vision is just like seeing as if you could see all around you. It's my sphere. Seeing everything as holistically and holographically as you possibly can. And in that, learning how to see what's practically realizable and what isn't. We need to have visionaries and vision to guide as North Stars what is possible. And we need a good Virgo companion that says that's very possible, but not practically realizable. Both are true. Here's what's practically realizable out of the vision, says your Virgo compatible friend. And Sagittarius pops in and goes, yeah, you know what? Here's what people believe. These are their beliefs that you'll have to negotiate to get that vision moving. And Scorpio goes, oh yeah, and I got something to say about human psychology and their shadow side. You need to know that their beliefs, Sagittarius, thank you, come from a shadow side and what that is and why it's there. So you can work with their objections to the vision. And so this is how we move. So back to climate change, because it's such a relevant example and obviously just compoundingly getting worse. Aquarius would like, of course, everything green, everything solar, everything running in a ideal way. It's an idealist. But the Virgo is going to go, wait a minute. That's going to be a little hard. The world economies are built on oil. So you're asking for a complete paradigm shift. Just know that. And those in power within the current paradigm are not going to want that. Know that as well. And yes, the karmic system produces these, climatical shifts that now are producing karmically horrific weather events. But, you're also going to have to negotiate how fast or slow people can wake up, how attuned they are to their political tribalism, and whether they can break free of that to think for themselves. There's so many things here, says Virgo. So Aquarius, love the vision. Love it. Green, yes, please. I'm an earth sign. I am literally like all about green. But Capricorn hops in and goes, yeah, industries, so many other businesses worldwide are built around fossil fuels. So, and then what can happen is all this can come together, possibly, and begin a shift where we can change things. And then you've got this factor of time. Taurus goes, wait a minute, people don't budge. Like, they don't just zip around like you think they do. Some of them are like stubborn rocks. Just know that. So Aquarius, though, also needs folks that let them have that vision. We need the vision from you, Aquarius. We need a North Star. And we need you to whistle blow on truths, places where people are not being honest. We need you to be the person that in a room where everyone's laughing and making fun of and picking on someone, you stand up and you call out the bullying. You call out the inequality. You call out the inhumanity. Because you're a humanitarian, Aquarius. You're developing into humanitarian. You're meant to actually see the common value of all that are part of humanity. And your visions are based in that. So shadow matching, shadow Aquarius, well, we can get elitist, think our vision is perfect. And then we can, hey, you know what? I am a shadow Aquarian. Hey, shadow Virgo, I need your perfectionist over here because I got a vision and here's how I'm feeling. If it can't be ideally enacted, then I'm not going to take one more step toward birthing it. I'm going to protest and not do a thing. And shadow Virgo perfectionist goes, okay, let's apply that to, we could do it to our politicians. Like, if they're not perfect, then bye. And then where are we? Now you've got matches. And that has karma, based on the systems we're working with. It's just technically true. Now, Pisces. What kind of support does Pisces need? The final sign of the zodiac. Pisces, those on a Pisces journey, and I will tell you anecdotally, many people with Sun in Pisces that I did readings on really struggled with two archetypes, two patterns in their journey of Pisces and development. And that was the mystic and the addict. I saw it almost all the time. And what I learned the reasoning for that to be was the mystic, I have to redefine, isn't about transcendence from the earth plane. That's what we've been taught through our Judeo-Christian types of ways of seeing and understanding creation. Rather, the mystic's about being in the consciousness that all of this is of the divine, all of it. And therefore, in that truth, there's no realm greater or lesser than another. It all has equal value. It all has value for the soul. It all has value for the journey of the soul and its evolution. So Pisces, then, as a mystical force, that its mandate is, let me enter into life as fully as possible in presence. Be here now, Ram Dass, baby. Because if I can't find, let's say, heaven here, I'm not finding it anywhere. That's a quote from Joseph Campbell. If you can't find heaven in this realm, you're not finding it anywhere. Because this is, if you want to use the word God, God. This is the divine. This is it. In terms of, hey, you agreed to be here on some soul agreement level. And Pisces has to kind of come to some sense of, yeah, I did. And mystically speaking, why did I do that exactly? What? And answering that question can be very painful. And let me tell you, it will absolutely challenge your victim. So you need people in your life that help you stay steady in your mysticism from this point of view of illusion or delusion, which is, I want to think of life as being other than it really actually is. And I don't want to be with it as it is. It's too much. And hey, human to human, I get it. It's a lot, right? But the journey of Pisces in terms of the deeper compatibility is having those who seek and ask bigger questions. Hey, Sagittarius, come on. Try to understand, yeah, co-creative law, sure. But in game, Pisces is about, I just want to be at one with it. The good, the bad, the ugly. And know all of it is part of life. All of it. And hey, I don't know anyone that can do that. Please don't take away that I can somehow do. I cannot do that. I like to check out. Okay, I call it checking out to check in. That's another video. But the addict is this. The addict is, I want out. If I'm gonna be in, it's on my terms. I will alter myself through a substance, through distraction, through internet compulsions now, but I'm not gonna. I will be here conditionally. That's what's up. The mystic goes, no. I'll be here unconditionally. So in the journey of Pisces, that it is a water sign. This is not a mental pattern of development. It's actually even a vibration above just pure human emotional level as well. And that's why I would say it's the cosmic heart level. It's this joy and pain are kind of one and the same in a way. I mean, our mind can't go here. So you need folks that understand the power and powerlessness of the human mind, that do not give the human mind power it does not have, that do not set you into illusions of power there, that say, look, sometimes you just got to be with things, not think about them or analyze them, or just be. Flow. So you need folks that really, I mean, and if you have someone in your life that's really like, whew, next level Pisces, latch onto that relationship and say, hey, be my spiritual director, be my mystical director. I've got to find a way to negotiate this life with as much presence as possible. And I need folks that are on that journey of presence and relate to me with presence and compassion and kindness. Shadow Pisces, shadow matches, you're going to match with other addicts. You're going to match with other people that are wanting to check out, or that you check out with them. And that could be any zodiac sign. Once again, I gave the ironic example of the perfectionist and the addict. Both are checking out. They're not willing to be here unconditionally. And so there you have it. I hope that this journey into flow compatibility and into shadow matches and shadow match compatibility is useful. It's been a massive haul, I know. So I want to wrap it up and say a couple closing things. When it comes to using zodiac signs, it's kind of about asking this question. Is my path of development per my zodiac sign and the level of consciousness and empowerment that I express on that path through my zodiac sign compatible with the level of consciousness and empowerment and expression of someone else's zodiac sign? There it is. That would mean you're compatible in a flow compatibility, or flow with some rapids compatibility, maybe. So that said, I encourage you to answer that question from a place of comfort and flow. Sure. Who wants to choose rough waters? Blech. But also answer that question from the truth that sometimes it takes discomfort to grow. Oftentimes, actually. So rapids happen. Shadow matches, let's get you out of that. So how do we do that? Well, simply here, have standards. Have standards as part of your metrics of compatibility. What are standards? Standards are this. They're things that you have come to recognize that you need from someone so that you don't disconnect from yourself while you relate to them. That's a standard. And they're non-negotiable. Because if you negotiate them, you're negotiating your self-connection, your empowerment, your boundaries, etc. So standards protect and reflect self-connection, self-respect, and self-love. And when we protect those things and have our standards, well, now we can better connect and love other people. And we can support them in ways that they need. So I'm going to flip this around now. And your homework's going to be knowing someone's sun sign, I want you to ask yourself, how can I support their solar journey of development? Knowing that they're on this path and this pattern of becoming all they can be through this zodiac sign. How can I support that? And frankly, am I willing to? Be honest. Maybe you don't want to. And that's fine. I'd rather you be upfront with your own system and go, I don't want to support them on that journey. I don't want to support the narcissist realizing that they're a star. This person's full-blown narcissist complex, Ohado. I'm out. I'd be like, gotcha. Well done. Those are standards. You'd have disconnected from yourself trying to get that narcissist not to be a narcissist. And let me tell you, that pattern above all is probably one that is the hardest to change in people anyway. So yay, you. Now, sometimes the only way we can grow is through shadow matches and shadow match compatibility. And we shadow dance with our shadow dancers and matches, and that's totally fine. But you got this. You got it. Now, I'm gonna close this down, and I'm gonna ask you, I gave a lot of energy, a lot of time here. Please share this video with anyone you think it'll help. Like the video as a way just to say thank you. I would really appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next video for this series. You want to know what's coming next? It will not be this long, I promise. This was a long one. It's hard to go through 12 signs. So next I'm going to be talking about what most astrologers never talk about. And you're going, well, what's that? Well, you're going to have to wait and see. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to be real good. So I really hope this was helpful. Please leave me comments under the video of how this impacted you, what your thoughts are. Tell me about your homework, how it's gone. I want to hear about what you came up with, what happened, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. It's going to be a minute because this was a lot of content, but I will see you in, hey, what astrologers, most astrologers never talk about. I'm going to have to tell you, and it's going to blow your mind. All right. Lots of love. Namaste. And keep on your path of becoming your own sun and star through whatever zodiac sign you are. I'll see you soon.